Aloha and welcome to Betty's Real Estate Corner, brought to you by Sakamoto Properties, where prestige is our business, reputation our foundation. In the studio, having just raced through the door at breakneck speed, we have David Freedman of I Lend Mortgage.
Broke no speed limits there, let me be really clear.
Okay, excellent, excellent. Well, I think we've got a lot of interesting things. We're going to focus on what's going on in the world of mortgages today because we happen to have David in our group here. So it's going to be really great. I think everybody wants to know more about mortgages. We keep hearing they're going up, this is happening, that's happening. But the key right now, the key is you need to buy now. You know, the unbelievable gotta buy deals are pretty much gone. You're not going to find any of those. But it's never going to be like that again in our lifetime. So I think now it's time to buy, prices are still good, and interest rates could be climbing. I'm going to ask David in 1 second, but I think it's never going to be better. So you got to buy now. David?
I am so excited, I can barely contain myself, so I apologize. I have to disagree with you. I think there are still some fantastic deals out there.
Okay.
I think what happens is people have to realize there's the price of the property, there's the interest rate, and there's the true value of the whole deal combined. And when they take a look at the whole deal combined, there are absolutely incredible deals out there.
You know, you are right. You are right. Because, you know, what I see every day is I got the guy that wants to buy the place for $500,000. He wants a house, let's say, in Napili, somewhere between Kanapali and Kapalua, for a great price. Well, the least expensive home on the market in that area right now is $700,000. So you've got a lot of people who watch these deals, they blew it, they didn't step in, they didn't do it, and now it's hard getting them to realize exactly what you just said. I mean, you got to look at the whole picture. You can't now look at just, okay, the price is high. The price is high. I mean, whatever, we're in Maui. But I think you're right, the whole deal.
And let's take a big picture approach. In the world.
As
we live our wonderful lives here on Maui, when we've taken all the factors and we travel and we go see what else is out there and we come back here, who isn't grateful to come back home to Maui?
Nobody.
And
nobody.
So we live in a world where everyone unfortunately puts numbers and assigns values to so many things. What's the price of happiness?
The price of happiness.
Yesterday, I took a small vacation and I was flying back from San Francisco, and the chatter of the excitement of people coming,
I agree.
was only equally matched by the happiness of people coming back home.
Coming home.
And I think the ones who come back home kind of with a smirk and a smug feeling go, I've got the tourist beat.
I've got it beat.
Anywhere else where you can say, I'm going to where most people vacation and can only spend a week.
There is nothing finer in the world than Maui, and I agree with you. When I'm on a plane coming home, I cannot wait for the plane to land. I want to be the first person off the plane. I will do anything to just get into Maui air. And I think that's true. I mean, as much as I've got to have some sympathy for how hard it is for a lot of people to be able to buy a home here. But from what we're saying also, if you can't buy a home here, it is still the greatest place in the world to live, and you will find a home here. You'll find a place that you can rent, that you can live, and it's the greatest place in the world. But we're going to find you a home.
So let's now go back to the question of what does it cost, and what are people getting for what they're buying? That's really the to me where I'm at in my thought process of being just someone who lives on Maui. What do I get for what I pay? First off, I get to live in Lahaina, where most people do come to vacation for 1 week a year.
Absolutely.
I get to live in a place where I know my neighbors, and most of the time I'm grateful to have them as neighbors, and go and I look and I talk to them and I get fresh mangoes from them. So what is the value again of my house?
That's right.
So when we talk...
Wait, no. David has probably the greatest place in the world to live, I think. He happens to live in the house that my husband, Roy Sakamoto, grew up in. So it's a fabulous place. His parents had it for probably 80 years. It's a typical, let's call it a cane house. it's fabulous. And David bought it after Dad passed away, and he made it his home. And it's beautiful. I mean, it's not changed, but it's got a roof that doesn't leak, and the walls have been repainted and fixed, and air conditioning, and he did some great changes in the yard so that he can park his boat there, which is, and it's not like it's a huge yacht, it's a Lahaina boat. And he took to that neighborhood, like I didn't think David would stay there forever, but it almost feels like he's a forever Lahaina boy now. He's a Lahaina guy.
I've been there 10 years, and I don't see myself going for at least another 10 years. And now that we've talked about what that's the get, now what's the cost? So mortgages, now we can touch on mortgages, because when people just go straight to numbers, they forget what they're getting for what they're paying. And that's really, to me, the most important thing. Interest rates are still, if we look at a historical chart over the last 50 years, we're still at the lows. And if we look at the prices here on Maui, we actually do a chart where we take a look at the values and the interest rates. This is one of the best buying windows that we've still seen in the last 35 years. The economists, they have to, when they come out with the reports, create something that gets people's attention. And I still believe bad news is always going to sell, which is what they're trying to do, their magazine and their media. And if we just take an unbiased look, we have jumbo loans under 5%. We have conforming rates if points are paid at 4%. I've been now doing this for over 20 years. I remember when people said, if you can get me out of 10%, I will be grateful. So when we take a look at an inflationary rate, which is averaged at 4.3%, and we're getting our money almost at the cost of inflation, the cost is great. It's fantastic.
You know, David, I did a $1 million loan in one of our very worst times of the market, way before David Freedman. The people had an 18% loan. And if they didn't close it by the end of the year, if they didn't close the deal that they were buying by by December 31st, the interest rate was going up, and it wasn't going down. And I remember thinking, oh my God, what is happening here? And it was hard, but I mean, again, they had their heart set on the house. It was fabulous, and they were willing to do whatever it took. So, yeah, David, you're right. I mean, you've got to take a look at the total package, and the total package is Maui. We're getting to live in Maui, Lahaina, Wailea, wherever. I mean, we're getting to be in Maui.
And so let's touch on this and expand it even more so. So when we come to Maui, we're brought in by a plane. So we have a wonderful, insulated, safe, quality lifestyle. I just got back from being in Central America, beautiful Panama City, and you can't go into certain neighborhoods. I don't think you can say that for Maui. I feel comfortable in almost anywhere, anytime, any place in Maui.
I'm with you, and I'm one of the world's greatest chickens. So there is nowhere in Maui that I don't feel comfortable going. Nowhere.
So when someone is looking at purchasing a home, since this is a real estate show, let's now look at all the factors. We have some of the cleanest air in the whole world.
We do.
We have some of the best views in the whole world.
No question.
Tom Cruise used Haleakala as the backdrop for one of his last movies. We're a frequent film location. It's one of these things where the Wailea Film Festival, we get to go as Kama'ainas. So when I think about the price of happiness, and I look at the cost of a home, and I look at the quality of my life, I'm getting the best deal in the whole world.
Well, I'm there with you.
And so now, mortgages. The interest rates have gone up a little bit, and let's have perspective. We were at the all-time low, we're off the all-time low. We're still in historical lows. Qualifying is now easier. The underwriting guidelines, the shake-up is settled down. People want to purchase, banks want to lend, and there's no more fear in the market. I see prices going up, and I see interest rates going up, and as they do, people will look back at 2013, and if they don't buy, then I think they will feel that they have missed the opportunity. I think we have a great window for the next 1 to 2 years, but this next 3 to 6 months, I would be all over it.
It's critical. It is critical because it is never going to be better. I totally agree with you. The interest rates are scaring some people, But you know, something you just said, I think, is really a top thing. People have been almost afraid to try to get a loan. It's been so difficult qualifying, or they believe it's going to be, or there's these new rules and these new regulations. So people have been terrified to a certain extent. So as this comes out, and you're right to a certain extent, the rumors, the legislation, the newspapers, everything starts to say something, and that's what makes it difficult. And what I'm seeing right now is it's a little harder, especially for the local resident trying to buy, but I think part of it is he needs to step up, exactly like you're saying, because it's not going to work 3 years from now, 10 years from now. Surely we're going to all look back at this and think, if only I'd invested then.
Absolutely. And now for the consumer who's listening on the radio and goes, why am I listening to this? This is the key thing. Everyone wants to buy a home. It's called the American dream. And what's really, for me, been my experience of having bought a home through Sakamoto Properties, my first house, after having been a lender for many years, and now being a lender and seeing the process on all sides, all aspects. If you have a professional and you're not comfortable with them, you won't feel you have access to them. The consumer needs to find a realtor that they feel comfortable with, and they need to know that that realtor has the experience. So now we quantify the value of a realtor, the value of a lender. If you have these two people assisting you in your purchase, they will navigate the waters for that consumer who's doing his first time purchase, and they'll go, this is fantastic.
It works perfectly. I mean, there is no question. If you, I mean, I always try to say to someone, if you have a realtor that you've worked with them. You know, if you have someone that you've known or you've been referred to and they're in your neighborhood, work with them. It's great. However, if you're looking for someone, call us at Sakamoto Properties, 808-669-0070. Our office is in Napili. We have a staff of fabulous realtors available to talk with you, and we'll assist you in a variety of ways. One of the things that we'll often do is start with the process of, we need you to talk to a lender. We don't want to get you all fired up on a particular home that's exactly what you want, when the reality is that if you talk to David Freedman, he's going to say, wait, we got to kind of settle down here a little bit, because you need to do this, this, and this in order to be able to qualify, and this is the approximate amount that we can do a mortgage for you. But knowing that is really the greatest educational piece of information you will ever get. So that's what we're going to say to you. It's going to be critical that you talk to us, you talk to a lender, and then we're going to head out and we're going to look at properties. So,
and it doesn't cost the consumer anything to do all of that.
No,
You're
exactly.
Going to get a professional realtor with many years of experience.
Many years.
And a lender who has many years of experience. And we're going to give you our best, honest effort. And we've been in this market, I can now say I've been in this market, serving this market for over 15 years specifically. And I've now been a lender almost 20 years. Your experience?
It is pushing 40 years here. Yeah.
So, and this is where it's key.
It's key.
It doesn't have to happen today. If you start the process today, it might take 2 weeks, it might take 6 months to find that right house. This is Maui. Let's go back to why we do this. We love our community.
We love our community. It may take 2 years, because there's times when we'll talk to someone that wants to buy a place, and you know what we'll discover, we'll have them start to talk with David, or they'll talk to their lender that they've worked with or that they know, and the reality is they need to clean up some debt. They need to get rid of some credit card problems. They need to pay off a tax lien. But you know, lenders, reputable lenders like David, will sit down with you and help you devise a plan, because you can still buy a place, and there's a lot of different loan opportunities and different ways to do it. So we can all help you, but you've got to start the process and learn. I mean, like, we've had someone a while ago that I believe David said to them, I think what we need to do is you need to clean up some of the credit card debt, and then he learned that they were just ready to buy a new car, and it was, no, don't buy the car, let's get the house first, because you're never going to be able to get the loan if you throw that on there right now. So by the time they cleaned up their things, they were ready in 6 months to be able to buy a house, and they got a fabulous place. So again, we got to keep working that way.
And talking about home ownership for just a moment, in the community, let's talk to the first home buyer, because that's kind of, to me, the one that I get the most satisfaction from. It's nice to do the $1 million loans and the $5 million loans, but I had a client call me up once and put his cell phone up and said, "That's my lawnmower, I'm mowing my lawn." And
Yeah.
that was his moment of just absolute, and that was a great moment where I said, "This is why I do this." We live in your community, we're approachable. There is no cost unless we perform and find and get you, on my side the loan, and on Betty's side the piece of property. What's amazing is, and we all try to take this for granted, and I've just come back from vacation, is you can live 1 mile from the beach for less than $1 million in Hawaii.
Absolutely, you
Where
can live.
else- Where else can you say that?
No matter where you are on Maui, you're just a short distance from the beach. And our beaches, because they are all public, you know, look at families. If you drive, which you do, you know, through Kanapali, Waikuli Beach Park, it has to be the greatest place in the world on the weekend where you see people start to gather there at 5:30 in the morning on special days, and they've got family and somebody's holding the place. There's nothing like Waikuli Beach Park.
And so let's talk about a fantastic deal that was just on the market. There was a house on Fleming Road on a half acre. It has now gone into escrow. Nobody looked at it. It's sad. Someone got a half acre where they can walk to the beach, walk to Lahaina, walk to Kampali, and their payment, if they put 20% down, is going to be somewhere around $1,700 a month.
That was a great value. I totally agree with you.
And as a rental, they would pay more to rent it than they do to buy it. So it's, when we take into the factor, it's still cheaper to buy than to rent.
In Lahaina, there is absolutely no question. It is far cheaper to buy than it is to rent. We had a house that last year was being rented for $3,000 a month. Now, if it were being rented, it would be $4,000 a month. We've had so many people day by day walk in our office trying to find a rental, very, very difficult. So a place like the one you're talking about, fabulous value, an amazing older home, it was great. But with each one of those that sells, we're moving up, and you've got to take a look. You know, take a look also at our website, sakamotoproperties.com. And we've got so many things on there, and there's a section on the website where you can pick the amount that you're thinking, and you can pick the location. So it isn't, all of our listings are on there and are the ones that are more or less, let's say, highlighted. But if you go in, we'll take you to everything in the Maui Multiple Listing Service. So whatever you're thinking, whatever sounds good to you, we can get you looking at it online, and then call us, 808-669-0070. Someone is always available, and we'll work with you. I mean, if for some reason it's Sunday afternoon, leave a message, because we are checking it often, and we'll get back to you.
And the other thing is, the computer can't talk back to you. So what I see sometimes happen, and this is dangerous for the consumer, is they get too stuck in the computer and they don't talk to their realtor. And the realtor will tell them, you know, this is the asking price, why don't we try making an offer at what you're comfortable with? And so there's reference points, the computer can't talk back to you, it can't explain things to you, and if you're not careful as a consumer, you're picking up information and coming up and creating a story that may not be as accurate as you think it is. And that's where calling the realtor, calling Mitch, calling Roy, Betty, Dean, Elizabeth, whoever it might be, and saying, I have a question. The computer will not answer the question in an educated, local market the way that a professional realtor can.
No, and you're right on that too. A lot of people right now are spending so much time before they arrive on Maui online. And even we'll talk to someone sometimes, and they're maybe exaggerating the point here, but they're talking to a realtor who's in Hana trying to buy something in Lahaina. Well, you know, here that really isn't going to work real good. You really want to find someone that's pretty much in the area, or, you know, has really full access and they're really working everything. But you don't want to, you want to call one of those numbers. You're online, you're looking at wherever you found it, and you're looking someone up. Call somebody. Obviously, to me, call Sakamoto Properties. But I think it is, you've got to talk to someone. If you don't, you're only getting a third of the story, a tenth of the story. You really do need to talk. What about David, though? What's happening right now in your life, and you're getting set, but someone can reach you, 385-858-8558.
I can always be reached at 808-385-8558. And now that we're talking about what's going on with me, I'm back from vacation and actually happier to be back on Maui. I had a great vacation. It's just always good to come back here. It's now 20 years that we've been friends.
Yeah,
And
it's
I
been a
can't
long
help
time.
but think about, I met you, you were Charlie Pride. And this
That was
goes,
such a fun day.
this goes
Yeah.
back to why we live here. And if we realize why we live here, the paperwork, the loan process, it all has perspective. We live in the best place in the whole world. We live in a community where today I can say it's now 20 years and we still get along because people here, we're a little bit different, we're a little bit nutty, we're a little bit kind of, I call Betty and I go, I'm coming in, I'm gonna be 2 minutes late. She goes, okay. And
We're all good.
we're good. And
You know, Charlie Pride, though, I haven't thought about Charlie for a while, but Charlie Pride, we had met here doing real estate. Charlie Pride, the country western singer. He always says Charlie with an EY. But an amazing family. I will never, and I went to their 50th wedding anniversary in Dallas, not that many years ago now, but they have to be one of the finest couples in the world. You know, they've been together for a lifetime, obviously 50 years. They got together when they were teenagers. I mean, it's such a story. I love Charlie Pride's story. You know, we are totally winding down, though, and we keep getting we got the 4-minute, the 3-minute, the 2-minute warning, and I think we're almost there. So we need to say, if you're looking to talk about a mortgage, call David Freedman, 808-385-8558. Check out our website, sakamotoproperties.com. Everything is on there. There is so much information that you'll find that it's perfect. And then call our office, 808-87, I'm giving you my cell phone, which is 808-870-7062. Call that anytime. The office, 808-669-0070. And I'm not telling you about any properties today. We're keeping them all a secret.
And that's the way it should be, because if you need a realtor or you need a friend, call Sakamoto Properties, because we've now been friends for 20 years and I don't see this ever ending.
I don't either.
And we happen to buy houses from you, and I've seen other people, it's the same relationship. And the one thing that I wanted to touch on that you didn't mention, and it's because it was in my mind, is when someone's on the computer, what they forget is when there's a human being on the other end who knows the market, that human being will call them back and say, hey, there's something coming on the market that hasn't moved to the computer yet. Let's go take a look at it. There are so many advantages that we don't have the time to just in this quick, short segue to cover. Get the right realtor, get the professional. There's a reason that realtors exist. It's a darn good one. It's the biggest investment in your whole life. There's a reason you want someone who's got 20 plus years of experience. This is the number one thing that you're going to do in your life that will give you happiness, and that's a material possession.
And Maui is the greatest place in the world. So we would love to be talking to you, love to tell you why you ought to. And here we are. Check this out on YouTube, and you can actually get an instant replay. David Freedman, Betty.
The quickest 30 minutes on radio real estate.
It is. Aloha. Danny Couch is back, and buy a Danny Couch album, too. He is the best in Hawaii. Aloha.
Call Sakamoto Properties, make a friend.
David Freedman, make a friend, too. Aloha.
Aloha.